Hey guys, so as you can tell from the title of my video, I'm actually doing another 3-marker challenge. My first one kind of exploded on me. I had absolutely no clue it was going to become so popular, and there were so many mistakes in it. I honestly am ashamed of that video. It met the criteria for the video, but it wasn't well done, and there were a lot of things that like people pointed out, you know, how I was getting the colors wrong, how I didn't actually prove that I didn't get to see my colors when I was picking. And they're right. I mean, I know I was honest about it, but other people don't. So, not that I'm sitting here trying to make other people happy. I just figured it would be nice to do it again. And I'll just link this in the other video, and if people like it, people like it. If they don't, they don't. This is the second time I had to redo my intro because my first one, I found half my, I don't know why, I didn't even realize it, but I didn't have some of my Copics. I had put them in a bag to travel with, and when I went to go get my brush pen, I found them, and I was like, crap. So I'm redoing this portion of it. The only thing that's different is you don't see me actually pouring my Copics in, and that was the only difference. So, as you guys can see, I've got my Copics, and I'm using my Copics and not my Prismas because I could tell the difference between the barrels, and I just figured if I'm going to do one, I'm going to just be consistent. But I've got all my Copics in here now, and what I'm going to do is just pick 3. I'm going to close up the box, and then I'm just going to go through the slits. You'll see. So let me go ahead and close this thing up. I have to hide my address because it's still on there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of work my fingers in here and pull them out. But I'm also going to move them around inside the box, which is a lot easier than you would think. But there's a lot of room. Okay. Alright, so it's all nice and messy in there. Okay, so I'm going to choose one from this A, one from this A, and then one from the middle. So we'll do the middle one first because that's the easiest. We have a W3. Okay. Can't complain about that. Got an E53, which is raw silk. I hope I don't end up with all light colors. I need to have a color. And then the last one. Oh, there we go. A V9. A 09. So, these are going to be my colors now, just because we had the issue before. We're going to go off the barrel this time. This is indeed a V09, so it's a purple. This is indeed the W3, so that's a gray tone. And this one is, in fact, our E53, which is a kind of a skin tone. I've used it for skin tones, so yeah. But alright, so I'm going to go ahead, and the second major complaint I had with my last video was that they didn't see me do the line art. Well, I don't know how that would make a difference. Line art is line art, but here you guys go. This is straight out of my sketchbook. The cauldron won't be in there, but I'm going to put this onto a piece of marker paper, and then I'll zoom over into voiceover and a speed paint, so that way you guys don't have to kind of sit there and watch me fumble around like a fool trying to get this thing to work. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over and ink it, and then I'm going to skip that part because that's not part of the challenge. It's not an inking challenge, it's a color challenge. So I'll get that done, and then I'll pop over and do the speed paint for the markers. So I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, popping on over to voiceover mode. So first thing I did was I kind of decided which colors we're going to go where, and since E53 is a pretty good skin tone, I just went ahead and used it for, well, obviously, a skin tone. I was able to get right into coloring because the new paper that I've got, the Hammer Hill, whatever, the digital cover copy paper, my Pentel Pocket Brush Pen actually dries a lot quicker on that than it does on my Bristol board. So I was able to get straight into coloring, which is always good because I'm a very impatient artist. Let's see. So the E53, the raw silk, is the skin tone, and I'm using the W3 to kind of give it some shading. I'm really not a big fan of shading with grays. I know you can do it, and I know plenty of people do it. It's very typical. A lot of it's like a grisaille method or whatever that a lot of people use with gouache and watercolors. Personally, I just don't like it. I feel like it makes the piece look dull, but since it's a 3 marker challenge, you gotta use what you gotta use. And rather than just continuing to layer the E53, which you can do, but it kind of tears up the paper, I just went with the W3. And since I was kind of limited on colors and the purple was really, 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 really strong, I decided to go ahead and leave the dress as white and kind of utilize the white as a color. And so the W3 became the shade for that. And I think it turned out pretty well. W3 is a little bit too dark. It's darker than I would go for a white shade, but again, you know, you work with what you got. And I am very, very bad at laying in folds and things like that. I didn't even stop to think that, hey, there's a knee bumping out there. And I tried to fix that later on, but the damage was already done. But that's okay because I think it still looks okay. It looks kind of nice to me, but it is what it is. With the W3, in order to get it to sort of do the layering effect that I wanted it to, I did have to put more than one layer of the W3 on, and I just kept going over and over again. Like I said, I'm not a fan of that. That's how come I have a W1, a W2, a W3, a W4, a W5, all the way up to 10, because I don't want to layer the same color to try to get a darker effect. I will just grab another color and use that. So if I have a W3, then I'll move up to a W maybe 5 or then W8, or I can even go in chronological order of a W3 or W4 or W5. But again, that's not part of the challenge. I'm just saying how I prefer to do it versus what I've had to do for this challenge, just to kind of prove that you can still do it. You don't need, and that's something that I learned when I was first buying my Copics, is you don't need the entire gamut of Copics. You can get a W1, a W3, and a W4, and if your paper is strong enough, you can just layer those colors over top of one another. So here's where I'm kind of like, oh man, there is a knee there, and I'm kind of figuring it out. So I'm trying to add some folds in there to make it look right, and I was like, oh, the damage is done. It still kind of gave a cool little effect there though, so I'm not 110% upset with it. I just kind of wish I'd remembered. So I'm moving into using the purple now. I decided to use the purple for the dress accessories, which are just kind of like a ribbony sort of purple trim or whatever you want to call it. I felt like it gave like a really good pop to it. I really, really wanted to use that purple sparingly though, because it is very powerful compared to even the E53 and the W3. At its darkest, the W3, I should say. Yeah, and I used it for the lipstick tone too, because I'm just a sucker for dark lips. Yeah, and I decided to use the purple for the hair because I felt like with the white and gray balanced out the purple, so it worked. The problem was is I haven't really been doing hair lately. I guess I should say. I've been sketching a lot, so I'd kind of forgotten. I didn't have the feel, so I was struggling initially. I do end up pulling it together towards the end with the hair. It's just, I tend to, like I said, I like to use my colors. If I've got a W3, W4, W5, I'm going to lay down the W3, grab my W4 and put in some strands of that, grab my W5, put in strands of that, and then work the W4 and W5 back and forth and keep some of that W3 in there. But just one solid color for your hair or doing hair just doesn't really do it for me. And I'm sure I could have taken the W3 and tried to have gone in there and done something with it, but I really didn't want to mess it up. So I left it at just a solid purple for that. And as I'm getting down towards the bottom parts of the hair here, I do kind of pull it back together and remember, oh yeah, this is the flicking motion that I like to use for what I'm doing. So I do end up pulling it back together, but that's more technique than anything. But it does end up looking pretty nice. Let's see here. What else can we talk about besides hair and flicking motions? Well, I guess the major thing to remember with having only with 3 marker challenges and having limited colors is you have to remember to leave your whites in. I didn't want to go through and use my my jelly roll this time. I did for my last challenge. And I kind of felt it was cheating, but at the same time not, because it was what it was. But for this one, I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and just leave it straight up with these markers. No editing pens, no anything like that. No whites, no extra blacks other than the inking. I just left it as was. And I think I go back and touch up that hair a little bit more on the, if you're looking at it on the right hand side, I just kind of flick that shine up a little bit more, make it smaller, and I actually make it to where it crowns her head a little bit better, and it just makes it look so much better. See? Oh, there I go. Yeah. Made it look a lot better when I did that. I wish I'd done it on the left hand side too, but I just kind of wanted to leave it alone. I was afraid of messing it up. One flick and you can just mess everything up. But overall, I mean, her face, her hair, everything, her dress even though like I made those mistakes in the folds of her dress, it still turned out really good. Here's where I start making mistakes, is when I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a nice artsy fartsy background. And I should have just left it at plain leaves, but no, I got all artsy fartsy. I'm like, I'm going to add flowers, I'm going to mix my colors, and it just kind of goes to hell in a handbasket at that point. But I tried. Luckily, this is not a background challenge. I am trying to utilize all 3 colors in the background. I once I realized what I've done, 'cause, like, it's at this point right here, I'm like, what am I doing? I took this fabulous foreground and put this crappy background, and that's always my thing. Is I hate putting forth all the effort to have a very nice looking foreground, like everything's shaded, everything looks cute, and I'm happy with it, and then I do a background and it's just crap. So I wasn't happy with that, but as part of the challenge, I felt like I had to try to utilize some kind of a background. So just kind of take that as a learning experience for those of you who haven't done the 3 marker challenge. Plan a little bit. I'm impatient. That's all there is to it. I am super impatient. Oh yeah, look at me. I'm going to toss in this vine to make everything better. I am very impatient. I didn't plan anything out, and I was going completely off the mercy of my battery life, and I wanted to hurry up and get my video done because I've got other ones that I really need to be working on too. I just really wanted to get this one done because I'm so ashamed of my other one. Plan it out. You can do so much with the colors, because I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I could have done just a nice little cloudy splatter background and it would have looked so much better than what I did here. But I tried really hard. But it is what it is, and I'm not 100% like disgusted with it, but But alright, voiceover land is about to end, and I'm about to go into an overview of what I accomplished with this 3 marker challenge, and you guys will just hear me talk on the camera like normal. So, see ya! Okay, so this is the final product. My backgrounds always have needed much more work, but the foreground turned out pretty good. So the hair, I basically used the V09, and since it's such a bold color, I really wanted to use it sparingly, so I used it in the details on her dress. And of course I used the E53 for the skin tone, and some of the little background flowers that I tried to make there, just were ick, but whatever. And then I used the W3 to shade with that, and luckily I got a warm gray, because warm grays tend to do really well with skin tones. Cool grays can as well, but they're a little bit more work. And then the W3 I just used for adding shading to her dress, which I just kind of figured would go ahead and stay white. So yeah. So if you ignore the ickums background, the foreground is actually really nice. It turned out really good. I love the detail in her hair that I was able to get. I'm not a big fan of using Copics for hair detail. I tend to fill in, and then I go through with a white jelly roll afterwards, and I will add some of the highlights that way, or I'll use a colored jelly roll of some kind and use that to add highlights. But in this case, it worked, so I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. And the colors really worked well. It was a nice purple against a against the white. So it turned out really, really, really good. So I'm very happy with this. Yeah, very, very, very nice. So that's it for this video. Again, it's my second 3 marker challenge. I'll go ahead and stand up here so you guys can see the whole thing. Nope, don't zoom in, silly me. And yeah, just what you can do with 3 markers. It's not very much, and like I said, the background, if you ignore that, I should have just left it white, but I didn't want to. I should have just like done an outline or something. I'm terrible. Anyway, but yeah, this is what you can do with just 3 markers, and it only took these 3 colors, and it turned out pretty neat. At least the foreground did. So a lot of it is skill and just kind of learning how to apply the colors and learning how to just use the shading techniques that you learn when you're using your Copics and things like that. But that's it for this video. If you guys liked what you saw, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment below. I hope you guys like this version of the video a little bit better than my previous one. And I'm sorry that I have to jump back and forth between voiceover and this, but it's just easier for me to kind of give my last thoughts like this, and then you guys can actually have some time to look at the image itself. But alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.